Hopeless Fan Podcast. It's Shelby. It's Zach. It's not Scotty.
He might be hurting.
I don't know what's going on with him. Thoughts and prayers, regardless.
He did get a new, what's the filtered water thing people get?
A Brita pitcher. We have a pure filter that we used before we moved here because now the fridge has a built-in filtration system.
He just needs, so what is it again? I'm sorry.
This is a Brita filter.
That's what he got? Mm-hmm. So he just needs like the book called...
You know that thing I use to fill up our pong cups?
Yeah,
That's what he got.
He just needs like the book called Girl Wash Your Face. And he's like a basic bitch now.
Girl, wash your ass. Yeah. So how are you doing?
No, I'm good. We'll get into it with Stand and Bunk of the Week, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's pretty,
naturally.
I'm pretty serious with direction, or pretty obvious with the direction I'm going to go with Bunk after, conference championship games and what have you coming up this week. But we have to touch on Championship Sunday. A lot of people say, is it the best football weekend of the year for professional?
Mm-mm.
What is it? What is?
For week one.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's because of the
built up.
And
I think week one might be omitted.
Yeah.
From that discussion. Mm-hmm. If outside of week one.
Outside of week one, wild card probably for me. I would enjoy that better.
Well, yeah. Now this year it was wild card because there was three games.
Super wild card.
Yeah,
weekend.
3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and then the divisional round that was just 2, right? So usually the divisional round's the better one, because there's 4 games total.
Right.
But yeah, it's a super wild card, and plus the game was on Nickelodeon. So NFL Championship Sunday. Which game do you want to start with?
I guess we could start with the Packers.
Yeah, first game. So, where do you start? Because there's just a lot to dissect.
There's a lot to unpack there.
What's that?
I said there's a lot to unpack there emotionally and statistically.
Yeah, Buccaneers 31, Packers 26. I think you have to start with Matt LaFluer. What was your take? So, and we'll get into...
With Mount Rushmore. We'll get into this.
And we'll do later on in the show Mount Rushmore of worst NFL playoff coaching decisions.
Mm-hmm.
When Zach wants to do some NFL history, I know he's been watching Watch Mojo. Top 10s. But it gets me excited. We'll also, because Tampa Bay, we'll give our favorite, if you want to look one up, because there's probably a million floating around out there, your favorite Tom Brady stat. Because now, I've heard about 17 different ones since they won on Sunday.
Yeah.
Basically, he has more playoff what-have-yous than he's played in this. But yeah, Matt LaFleur. So, in NFL history, Zach, a team down by 8 points or less, 4th and goal, with under 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, they have gone for it 65 times. They have kicked a field goal once on Sunday.
Wow.
Matt LaFleur. Have you, been able to digest it 2 days later? Do you see what he was going for, or do you still not see it?
The only sort of olive branch I can extend to him would be that his defense, he was trusting his defense at that point, which I don't really, you let a team put up that many points on you.
Yeah.
To get you the ball back. That way, you know that if you score a touchdown, then it's done. It's over. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why you would save the hard work for later, right?
Yeah, but same time, you're trusting your defense. You should go for it because you're still in. That's what I'll wake up tomorrow and think about it. I'll wake up Thursday and think about it because I lost on a teaser, Green Bay +4. And that was hard to stomach because there were so many little instances that could have swayed that game. Obviously, the more I think about this game, the more there is to unpack because Devontae Adams dropped a touchdown that would have tied the game at 14-14, that little back shoulder by the end zone. St. Brown dropped a 2-point conversion attempt where Joe Buck was trying his hardest to say that ball was tipped. And that thing hit him in the face.
Doesn't matter if it was tipped. If it hits you right in the red basket. I didn't think it got
tipped, though.
They showed the replay, at the end of the game for some reason. They showed it, towards the end. Yeah. And Ndamukong Suh because it barely started to wiggle. It had a perfect spiral, barely started to wiggle a little bit. It didn't affect it. Mm-hmm. So there's no point in saying that.
So, and I'll go to bed. The only, I'll try to, because I don't want to just recap the game. It'll be boring. The only thing I'll say is that a lot of people are dragging Mike Pettin. Mm-hmm. And obviously, because the play at the end of the second quarter awful to leave Scotty Miller one-on-one with Kevin King, who I didn't realize the Packers drafted over T.J. Watt and Dalvin Cook and.
But that's a whole other conversation. But like going back and seeing looking at players who were steals in the draft, but you have no idea.
We're going down a rabbit hole.
But I just hate when people do that.
Yeah.
When they're like, oh, this. It's like saying it's like, oh. Even with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, look at Tyreek Hill, but you took this person over Tyreek Hill, you knew he was going to be an amazing receiver.
And that's the thing with the Bengals is that they took John Ross before Pat Mahomes. They weren't coming for a quarterback,
right?
So but that's a whole different bag of nails.
Real quick, you asked me Tom Brady's stat, so
we'll get to it when we get to Tampa Bay. But I was going to say everyone's blaming Mike Pettin, but that's still a defense that when it needed its stops, besides the very end on a defensive holding, it picked off Brady 3 times.
Two they did nothing with.
Yeah, I kind of give a little bit of blame to Aaron Rodgers. You give him, he's yelling at them to get a stop because he's this badass, and cameras caught him yelling at him, and they got.
To be fair, it was right after he had a great drive and scored a touchdown.
But he got two cracks at it.
Right after that,
they went 6 and out. And I think negative yards total. But
that was part of his offensive line giving up some key sacks.
But when Brady was getting pressure and had to throw.
He screams at his offensive line all the time.
But I'm just saying is that everyone's flaming Pettin. But he put the pressure on Brady enough to force those interceptions.
Right.
And he got 3 of them.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you how many chances does Aaron Rodgers need? And if there's even a little sliver of Matt LaFleur love, it's how many? I feel like there was double-digit Aaron Rodgers incompletions from inside the 10-yard line. Because they kicked a field goal from inside the 10, and then obviously 3 straight incompletions. And then obviously the debate is, I don't think Rodgers makes it into the end zone if he runs. Maybe if he did one of those.
Yeah, do you see Shaq Barrett was hurdling somebody behind him at full speed?
And Devin White, too, who is my new favorite
defensive hawk.
He's my new favorite defensive player.
When's his contract up? Maybe you sign with Cincinnati?
Yeah, we missed that boat. Because I'm going to lie and say I wanted them to draft him. But I probably wanted them to draft the fastest receiver.
John Ross the fourth.
Right. Anyway, the Buccaneers, it all kind of really it was such an uphill climb. When the Scotty Miller touchdown, then immediately right out of the half, we were talking. They're like, it's finally the team you want to have the ball. Green Bay. Aaron Jones fumbles, gets hurt.
Awful.
Immediate touchdown. It's an 18-point game. So tough. Rodgers now 1-4 in NFC Championship games, and I heard an interesting debate. And at first I thought the answer was obvious, and then I heard both sides debated, and I was like, I kind of see it being a debate. I still have my opinion, but which NFC Championship game loss was worse, this one or the Seattle game?
Well, the 49ers game was worse because they just didn't even put up a fight. But that depends on if you're a fan, it feels worse, or if you're looking at them as a performance of a team.
Yeah, that's a distant third to me.
Okay, you're saying optics wise, what's the worst loss, or
yeah,
okay,
so.
or what hurts the most?
Put yourself in Aaron Rodgers' shoes, because even Rodgers last year they went 13-3, but it was he was nowhere near of what he did this year.
No,
and that's what's kind of again we're going off on a little tangent, and I want us to get back on track, but it is kind of weird that Rodgers, same coaching staff, pretty much the same players. And it took Jordan Love to ignite him to get drafted to be okay, well here's.
Well, I think that's what happened is when Jordan Love.
Why did it take them drafting a quarterback to bring out MVP Rodgers?
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I think that's not what brings out MVP Rodgers, because Rodgers already won an MVP. So
right.
But I think that's I need to put on so that the team that I'm going to go to next year can see that I can still fucking do this.
Oh.
And that I'm the shit, and they will pull out all the stops to get you, because the only way the Packers are going to trade him away is if people throw their draft book at him. So if Aaron Rodgers goes 10-6, first round out of the playoffs, and isn't in the MVP conversation, then maybe not as many teams are as willing to trade their entire future for one shot at a Super Bowl.
But how do you explain that last year his numbers significantly. 22 less touchdown passes last year. I mean, with the same system, same coach, and pretty much.
But first year with the coach, not as familiar. I don't know. Maybe.
But
it was the pieces that he had. This connection with Devontae Adams maybe not as good then. I don't know. The receivers were younger. I mean, it's basically the same group, but they were. If you remember those receivers last year, at Lazard, and I was at a game. Okay, I can be the first to tell you. Saw it firsthand. Lazard, terrible. St. Brown. I didn't even know he was there, and Valdez-Scantling.
Of any pieces they kind of added.
No, I'm not saying they added pieces. I'm just saying I think those players got better.
Oh, okay.
Because they just more
I don't know
time.
if it's the love. All I'll say is that if it's the love thing that made him like revenge, like I'll show him. That's a red flag to me that it took a first round pick to bring out an MVP, setting a career high in touchdown passes.
Pure speculation here, but I don't think it's more of a I'll show them kind of thing. It's like, okay, they drafted by replacement. I'm going to give it, one more go with this team, and then we're going to see where I can end up next. I need to show that I can be a Peyton Manning to a Broncos.
Where did we start on this when I said I wanted to get back on track?
We're going to the Buccaneers, and we're going to talk about Tom Brady stats.
Okay, so Tom Brady, if you're still not on the GOAT.
Answer me this question.
Yeah.
How many Super Bowls has he been in since 2007? Not one, but been in 2007.
So he lost 2. So
okay.
You mean starting with the 16-0 year?
January 1st, 2007.
Yeah. So loses the AFC Championship game to the Colts to end the 06 season.
Okay.
So he goes in 11, or he goes in 07, and then he goes again in 2010, 2011 when they lost the Giants.
Gotcha.
And then he goes again in 14 and wins.
Sure.
16 and wins. 17 and loses. 18 and wins. 6
championship.
And then this year. So this will be his 7th Super Bowl since 2007.
So this is 6 championship kisses for his son Jack.
That's where you're going with
because his son was born 2007. So that's 6 kisses. 6 sloppy wet kisses.
Is that the child he has with another girl?
With the other lady, correct.
Okay.
Bridget Moynihan.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But she's living in a, she's not hurting.
Living La Vida Loca. Right. She had those.
Is that your favorite Brady stat though? 6 kisses?
I just thought it was funny. No. But yeah, I would say that those child support checks don't bounce.
Right. But my thing with Brady is that you can take his first half of his NFL career, his second, for a while you could his first half of his NFL career and his second half of NFL career, both of them separate would be Hall of Fame resume.
Exactly.
And now you can almost do it in thirds. And that's insane to me. It'll never be reciprocated.
Right.
I'm wishful thinking, but in 2022 they'll play the AFC North. So not next season, but the year after, and I hope he's still playing. He looks like he can, obviously. I do want to just see him.
If they win here, I don't know if he comes back.
I think he'll come back. Yeah. But my favorite Brady stat now. I have 2. He has as many playoff wins against NFC opponents than Drew Brees.
So it would have to be a Super Bowl.
7
Super Bowls.
Yeah, so he had 3. What is that? He just had 3.
He could only, he just had the next
6.
one. Yeah.
So he just got his 9th, and that's as many as Brees has.
Okay, so because he had to win wild card divisional conference. So
right.
He just tacked on 3.
Right, because he had 6 from the 6 Super Bowl wins.
Right.
So he's only been in the conference 1 year. He has as many playoff victories against NFC teams as Drew Brees. And then he also...
You count the Super Bowl as
he's playing
a playoff
Yes. Yeah,
game.
that's
correct. Some people don't count NFL Super Bowls as a playoff game.
Who?
I don't know. I've just heard people.
Did you just say?
I've heard people. No, I've heard that argument. I can't name names. I mean, we don't name names on the podcast, so.
Oh, that's why you're not naming names.
Come on.
Then my other one is he has as many NFC conference championships as Brees and Rodgers. And the only active person to have more than him is Russell Wilson because he has 2. Been in the conference 1 year. That's just nuts to me. I bought his book the other day.
Brady's book?
Brady's book. 12. It's not a regular biography.
I'm sure it's great. All right.
Do you have a Brady stat or no? Scotty's gonna hate this when he doesn't listen to it.
Do I have another Brady stat?
Do you have your favorite Brady stat?
It's probably I would have to say it's got to be how many yards he has in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's got more. I'm sure he's got more yards than. I want to know this. This would be a cool stat. If he has more playoff passing yards than another quarterback who's in the Hall of Fame or going to be in the Hall of Fame has a career.
Oh, there's no way.
No.
Yeah.
How many passing yards does he have in the playoffs? Like 20,000 something.
Well, I mean,
what is his playoff passing yards?
no, I'm just thinking his playoff record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if a Hall of Fame quarterback, if he plays 5 years, that's 80 games, and Brady hasn't played 80 playoff games. Yeah, so it's I like where your head's at, but
or touchdowns maybe.
I like that Brady has more than double of playoff wins than Joe Montana, who has the second most. It's like over double. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's wild because everyone had thought before Brady came on the scene, it was like, and even after 3 Super Bowls, maybe even 4 Super Bowls, you're like, well, Joe Montana still has an argument to being the GOAT.
Yeah.
But now there's no way.
It's insane that New England went 10 years without a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But also Brady
73 playoff passing touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Joe Montana 45, Brett Favre 44, and Manning with 40.
And that's crazy too with the playoff wins. He has more than double of Montana's. When how many times did the Patriots have?
Not more than double. Double would be 90.
What?
Are you talking about wins or touchdowns? Oh, I thought you were talking about touchdowns.
No. He has more than double of Montana's playoff wins. And how many times did the Patriots have first round buys?
So, yeah, that's true. So you're missing a game. But how many rounds did they? When did he play during the wild card era? Joe Montana.
Joe Montana, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
When did they introduce the wild card?
I don't know. When it's been a while.
Was it in the 80s?
It's never been like it's always been like six.
I thought it was
It's always been like 6 teams make it.
Okay.
There's always been 3 rounds. The bye weeks might have been different, but
okay.
I like. Are you on or off the bye weeks now? Only the first team.
Yeah. I would have liked to see, just because I'm a sucker for more teams in. I would have liked to seen 8 teams, and then keeping the first 2. But because you could go 15-1. You deserve, another team goes 15-1, and for some bullshit reason they get the first round. You go 15-1 or something like that. You have the same. You deserve it.
Yeah. Well, that's like Buffalo 13-3, Kansas City 14-2. Okay. Next game, Bills Chiefs, and I think I fall into the line, and Scotty probably did too.
This is where I made my bank back. I limited my losses.
Yeah. So we just kind of all thought, and it's not like we were just making it up. The Chiefs did kind of sleepwalk in terms with they don't cover in 9 straight games.
Right. But they didn't get caught slipping.
Right. And Buffalo goes up 9-0 on Sunday. It was like never in doubt. And that you run out of superlatives talking about the Chiefs because nothing they do surprises you. It's like the Bills. How do you almost lose Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill? They both have over 100 yards for the second straight playoff game. It's just unfair. I don't like, as long as Andy Reid stays, and now Bieniemy might, because I don't think he's taking. I don't think he
would make that big of a difference. Honestly, I mean, I don't think he's the difference between.
Andy Reid's the difference,
right? I don't. Yeah,
but I'm just saying the core is there. And I mean, until the Chiefs get
does this lead you to question Donovan McNabb's greatness? Was it more Andy Reid or was it more McNabb? Because you give Andy Reid a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who's actually really good, and we know that. And it's like, okay, he's going to back-to-back Super. He could have done a three-peat if there's not an offsides penalty.
The next time I call Donovan McNabb a great quarterback, it'll be the first time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I've never thought he was. I mean, he went to one Super. I mean, I don't know. It might have not been like, the air is different where they didn't throw as much, but, he wasn't. I mean, Andy Reid was a choke artist in the playoffs. He just was. Even with Alex Smith, they lost to Marcus Mariota in Kansas City. I mean, there's not much you could say, and we'll get to the betting aspect of it. Mm-hmm. You had Chiefs -3, and you also had kind of Chiefs.
And I took them minus 13.5 live.
Yeah, so you doubled down. But you also had Chiefs money line too, basically because you have exposure, because you have the future. And I held off on it because, like, before the game, besides licking my wounds, it was like, if I ever have a team spread and their money line, so it happened to be like Steelers game against the Browns in the playoffs.
Sure.
I've never won both all year.
Wow.
I've never, like, remember Ravens minus 6.5, Ravens money line against the Patriots on Sunday night. Lost both. I mean, the only time I ever won one was when the Chiefs came back and beat the Raiders in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That was the only, like, if I have money line and the spread minus, I lose both automatically.
The reason that I hammered the Chiefs is because I learned this. When you have a devastating betting slate, even one game or several games, you go and you find the fucking stud and you throw in all your chips behind him. And I will never make that Rodgers mistake ever again, where we had that god-awful week 2 at Scotty's. And then I was like, we could win it all back with Packers tonight. What was it? They're playing the Falcons minus...
No, Saints
at
Saints
Monday
in
night.
New Orleans, Sunday night.
Plus
3.5.
Plus 3.5. You put the house on it, and we were like, well, in fairness, I was a pussy and needed you to sign off on it before I would do it. And you didn't want to do it.
I just wanted to not chase. So
right. No, I understand.
Like,
I could understand not wanting to chase, but if I get destroyed and there's a guy like Aaron Rodgers who's going up in a spot that you like, even if you like it a little bit, or Patrick Mahomes, only 3 points. This is Patrick fucking Mahomes against a newcomer, a newbie. These guys are untested at this level of football. Chips are in on this guy.
It's just insane that the Chiefs obviously have a switch that they just hit.
Yeah.
And they kept it again. That's when you told me you bet the Chiefs 13.5. I was like, you are an idiot.
I'm going to get backdoored. And I almost did.
Yeah, because, what do the Chiefs care if the Bills dink and dunk and, make it 12? They're down 19 and they make it 12, or they make it 13 to end the game. Like, who cares? But the Chiefs, that's what I came away the most impressed with, was their defense. They just kept coming. And Chris Jones,
they kept blitzing, because it's like if you get burnt on a big play, so what? You get the ball back. But if you send blitz, you could get a strip sack.
Well, I think Steve Spagnuolo said, like, let's blitz and we'll get Allen in like 2 or 3 of those sacks where he takes it for like minus 20 something yards. And Josh Allen is like a severe.
Saw a great TikTok today where it's like anytime the pocket collapses, Josh Allen's just running straight backwards.
Yeah, and he's also a big, like, he's like allergic to throwing the ball away.
Yeah,
I remember watching one where he was like, his feet were still in the air and he threw it out of bounds. He was like 4 yards out of bounds, but his feet were still up and he threw it away.
Just barely got away. They didn't review it.
I'm like, God, that guy just needs
Shelby, this is where I think you could be a running backs coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Is where you got a running back running the outside. He knows he's not going to get to...
Throw it away.
Throw it away.
Throw it away.
Just throw it. You're allowed to.
Just throw it.
Yeah.
So it was a halfback pass the whole time.
You would be a pioneer.
Right. I'm like, guys, I would call those plays.
You would save so many yards.
Right. I don't get why.
An average of like 30 yards a game, probably.
Yeah. I don't get why running backs will just run out of bounds. And the only guy I've seen it do that, my favorite running back, Lamar Jackson. Well, it was against the Bengals, and he ran out of bounds. He was going to get tackled for like 10, 11 yards, and at the last second threw it away. And I'm like, why don't people do that?
Exactly. Especially if it's a big one. You're outside the tackle box. If you're 50 yards behind, chuck that bitch.
Chuck it.
As long as it gets over the line of scrimmage.
Right. I don't see it. Bills, I mean, they never had that. Like, they were so dynamic go back half of the year, and all 3 playoff games they had, it was not the Bills that we had seen. It was the Bills we saw, like, against the Jets in New Jersey when the Bills kicked 7 field goals to win. Yeah,
and they faced a Phillip Rivers that I think was 11-6 records, kind of inflated based on his abilities. I think all year they're playing in a down division. Other than, you think about the other teams in that division, Tennessee, who
Houston,
we know can see they can drop games.
They lost to Jacksonville.
You're right, they lost to Jacksonville. Yep, exactly. I think that they got a benefit of playing a team that probably not that they didn't belong. It's a wild card. Washington football team ended up at a wild card game.
The Colts belong. I mean, they
Colts have a good defense.
Yeah, and
except when they played the Browns.
They hung like the Colts were an inch away on that 4th and goal from being up 17-7 in that game. And Phillip Rivers looked good in that game. He didn't make any killer mistakes. They just came up like 10 yards short of trying a game-tying field goal.
I guess my image of Phillip Rivers in that playoff game was kind of stained by him not even being able to get a Hail Mary into the end zone.
Just looked like shit. Like Kirk Cousins did the gritty. But yeah, the Bills didn't they won that game barely, and I kind of passed it off as in it's their first home playoff game in God knows how long, and then there's nerves. They were tight for a while.
First time having fans back in the stands. Yeah. There's a lot of emotions.
They got loose. They won the game, and then against the Ravens, it was like that game ended, and I told the story on the pod of how I saw the game end, so I won't get into that. Yeah. But then if I looked at the box score of it, and I'm like, Lamar's pick is a 14-point swing, and they didn't dominate. The Ravens dominated just the pure box score. It was just that, you could look at a box score and it could say turnovers 1 for the Ravens.
2 Justin Tucker missed field goals.
Right. To be fair, the Bills missed 2 field goals too.
Right.
But
we have just Tucker.
That whole box score, it just says turnovers 1 for the Bills, and that could have been Lamar throwing a Hail Mary at the end of the half. That gets picked and no harm done. Right. But it's a 14-point, 100-yard pick six to really sway that game. So I wasn't impressed with the Bills, but it was just something about Kansas City being so lax. But I mean, credit to them. Mahomes looked fine. He had the concussion in the foot. He didn't hit that rushing yard. I should have bet that.
Tyreek Hill looked so he looks like he could make anybody miss. He's bouncing up and down
when his over prop. I bet that.
Yeah. Bouncing up and down the field, and when he catches the ball, it's like you could just easily run out of bounds, but instead you're to cut back, bang bang, do all these bouncing around. It may only get you an extra 3-4 yards. You add all how many times he gets thrown to, you add all that together, it makes a huge difference. And honestly, I think out of all the wide receivers in the league, I would love to have him on the Ravens the most. And I'm not saying he's the best wide receiver in the league by pure talent, but I think I would love to see that fit in Baltimore.
A guy who could turn a 3-yard pass into a 20-yard.
Exactly, because Lamar, I don't think really has any kind of we don't need a deep threat wide receiver because it's not going to happen.
And I'm kind of blanking on where I was going, but just Tyreek. Oh, I was supposed to say, how is Tampa Bay's secondary feeling after? So the last time these two teams played, we got back from the Bengals-Giants game, and you were kind of, passed out, and I was just watching because there was 3-4 o'clock games, and Tyreek had 200-something yards at halftime. So imagine what
my best fantasy week.
Imagine what his receiving prop is going to be. And we were kind of laughing that Kelsey's was
94
against the Bills, and he almost had it at halftime.
Right, yeah.
All right, Stan, Bunk, start him, sit him time.
What's your stand, man?
My stand.
Stan the man.
So with no crowds throughout the year, I forgot. I'm glad this is back. It's that celebrity fans saying that opposing teams' fans were mean to them. That was a big time. Every celebrity that's at a game, especially if it's a player's wife, or significant other, the away game, their opposing team's fans are mean to them. So that's what Jordan Poyer's wife, I think, from the Bills, safety for the Bills, said Chiefs fans were disgusting. I mean, didn't read the article. I didn't. But I just assume it hasn't gained any more traction since. So it was just you're kind of... It's sour grapes as it is because your team's losing and they're all celebrating and you're in their stadium. So they're going to be loud and obnoxious. I mean, if they throw shit at you... Right. That's what happened when... Bengals fans, when Big Ben was getting carted off in the playoff game, there was something thrown at him.
Nice.
And I was like, yeah, okay. But I was like, every single stadium's going to have, especially a big game, is going to have a couple drunk assholes, throwing stuff on the field that are just...
That's why they'll never have a Super Bowl in Philadelphia.
Well, and it's outside in the bad weather.
Wintertime, but yeah.
But yeah, I just like having that back just because,
That's a potential sit-em. Why not have a Super Bowl that you could have a snowy Super Bowl? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
Under galore.
What's the problem? They had a Super Bowl in the rain in New Jersey when the Seahawks killed Denver. It's that's East Coast. Who says no?
Yeah.
And now it's Dude, January in Ohio has been mild as hell. Mm-hmm. It's been fine.
It's like global warming, man.
Yeah, what have you? All right, what's your stand?
My stand is, so again, keeping it going with the school stuff, although, so because classes are all online and there's not like classes that you take at the university.
Oh, that's what that means.
Yeah. They have to put due dates for stuff within their website. Like it has to be in a there has to be what's called a course calendar that has due dates. And so if you miss something, turning something in, and there wasn't, you go back and you look at the count, it wasn't in the calendar, they can't count it against you.
Ooh, so did that happen to you?
No, because I'm just saying it would happen to me a lot, because as somebody who is as scatterbrained as I am, and I don't take notes and fuck a calendar, unless it's right there in front of me, plain as day, when I'm looking at the course page, I'm not gonna.
You don't take notes?
No, I take notes.
Oh, okay.
I do take notes. But yeah, I did get fucked so many times. Like history was easy for me because I enjoyed it. So once I got in those history classes, I was like, but I was there, right? I always showed up to class because I wanted to be there. I didn't have any early morning classes because it's, junior year, senior year. But that's really what got me a lot. I had morning classes that I'd miss, and then I would miss turning in little assignments. So I may do well on the test, but I missed all the homework. So.
You're not an early morning class guy.
Oh, God.
You don't like the getting
I can't get up early in the morning. That's the problem.
That's not your problem. Going to bed at a reasonable time to get up is probably the problem.
Right. Yeah, I'm a night owl. Yeah. But some people are like that.
Yeah.
Bunk.
Okay. No NFL this weekend.
Yeah.
Usually have the Pro Bowl, which, it's a game you can bet on. Last year, this is the 1-year anniversary of Kobe dying. This was the 1-year anniversary of the Pro Bowl last year. I hit the over in the Pro Bowl in the first half. No one cared because Kobe died. I
was at work. That was sad. I thought it was a joke.
So yeah, that one sucked. It's gonna be tough because, especially my Sundays, my rituals, my breakfast, my coffee, my podcast I listen to that isn't this one. But it's gonna be tough adjusting to. Gonna be Soggy Sorrows Sunday. What about you?
So I was gonna go with New York Times because first they have the article about Joe Biden's Rolex, and then come to find out it was his dead sons that he was wearing. So that's strike one. And then they come out with articles with these fucking titles: "Why vaccines alone will not end the pandemic."
I saw that.
Just let us have.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Why you got it? Who are you helping?
Right.
So I was gonna go with New York Times.
I like that the New York Times had here's what Wuhan looks like now, and it's just like pictures of what they're doing in January, and they're like all at rock concerts partying.
Right.
And Wuhan has 10 million people.
Yeah, and also they have a government that could have just said, "Hey, if you go outside, we'll shoot you in the face."
Right. So I don't know.
But my actual bunk.
We're gonna pull it.
Right. Yeah. My actual bunk is Scotty on Sunday. He, for whatever reason, we don't know why, withdrew. He said it was inadvertent. Withdrew from our group chat.
This sucks, yeah.
Which now, if we go back and look at the group chat history, all of his contributions are gone.
Right.
All of his flame TikToks, hot takes, fights that we've had, everything since.
And that's the thing too. When Scotty sends a TikTok, I know it's gonna hit.
Yeah, he doesn't send bad ones like I do.
Yeah. Well,
I just say
he's a little better than you. That's all I say. But it was funny too, because that's when I met Scotty. Vine was a thing, and I was like, I knew if Scotty revined something, I knew I was gonna find it hilarious.
Yeah.
Why can't we just add him back like the last time he did it, left Twitter?
Oh, maybe we could. I don't know.
Why'd you start a new one then?
Well, the other one's still there, so I don't know.
Well, wouldn't if he joined that one again, all of his stuff would pop back up?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. So I scrolled pretty deep back into it.
But the last time he didn't leave the conversation, he deleted his Twitter.
Right.
This time he didn't delete his Twitter; he just left the conversation. He said it was I'm not going to say why.
How about a bunk? Why is your new picture of the defensive holding that ended the NFC Championship game?
Because it's sad for the Packers.
Is the closest thing you can get to someone crying?
I couldn't find anybody crying.
Okay.
Yeah, here's a picture of Aaron Rodgers' stupid haircut. But
I just realized I have a second. I'll go with a second stand.
Okay.
Instead of a second stardom. Because stardom, the word's a little tricky.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna go as my second stand of the week is the Big Sky Conference.
Gotcha.
Football.
Yep.
They're playing in the spring.
They are?
Starts February 27th.
We can bet on football in the spring.
February 27th through April 17th.
So we're like 2 weeks removed from the Super Bowl.
Yep.
3 weeks.
That
right? Super Bowl's on the 7th?
Yeah.
20 days?
Yeah. That gave me a little jolt. So
yeah. This is going to take us right into baseball.
That's fine.
March Madness.
It's going to be into baseball. It ends April 17th.
Wow.
I'm pumped.
That's great.
College.
All right. I'm gonna do my stardom.
Go for it.
Is that okay? Yeah. All right. So I don't know if you saw. So GameStop.
Yeah, this is great.
Their stock. It's so this. I don't know. I've never heard of this.
One day we'll get around to you giving me stock advice.
Marker by Medium. This news outlet. I don't know. I never heard of them. But they said GameStop's ridiculous rise shows the quote meme stock market has arrived. So people just buying stock in a company just because it's funny.
Yeah.
Who's throwing around that kind of? You get enough people just to. It's like
like, what do you think they all did? Like $5-10?
Yeah, it's like the same. It's like the same reason that what's his name, who was the Trump's press secretary, and then he goes on Dancing with the Stars, and people just they just get his name out there and blow him up because it's funny, or like you find some mom and pop restaurant and then you blow it up on the internet because it's funny because they have no idea what the internet even is. It's like one of those kind of things, but now you're making people a ton of money.
Sean Spicer,
yeah. But my mother-in-law actually bought the stock before it hit its second hike today because it had a kind of a hike yesterday, and then she bought some stock then, and then it hit the big one today. So I mean, yeah, that's really what drives the prices. Just the more people buy it. So if you have a bunch of people, even if they're spending like $5-10 on it, it's still going to shoot it up. So I'm
because I don't know how
anything called a meme stock. I'm here for.
I watched The Big Short, so I'm pretty fluent in the stock.
You got it.
I'm pretty sure billionaires tried to Big Short this stock, and the little guys were like, "We're gonna meme the shit out of you until this thing explodes, so you lose money."
Yeah, because they had a new CEO.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
So they have a new CEO,
right?
And I think a lot of people were like, they were thinking that it wasn't going to work out or whatever. There's always, whenever something happens like that, a merger, change of leadership, there's going to be people who short it because they think that there's going to be something that comes out about that new person or the merger or whatever that's going to make it drop. And then if you just invest in it, keep investing in it, then you jack up the price of it. And it's GameStop, so there's all these kind of nerds and stuff that know about it. So I think they're gonna.
I was gonna say, who's back? I was gonna say, this podcast can bump up a stock. Long John Silver's. Just do it.
Just do it.
That's gonna
Are they? I wonder if they're a publicly traded company.
I don't know, but they're plus 1.30% over the last year.
Oh, there we go.
So,
well, then if you're seeing their stock, then they're publicly traded. So yeah, I'm personally not a fan, but more of an A&W guy.
I'm a low key Long John Silver's guy. I just don't talk about it.
I guess the only place you can get a quality fish and chips around here, huh?
The little crunchies that come with it.
Oh, the hush puppies?
No. Just like you have like a 3-piece of fish, and you have hush puppies too, which are great. And then like it's in a bread of just like instead of like a bed of rice, it's in a bed of just like crunchy pieces of grease. Oh,
it's just fried breading.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And it just comes with it. It's like you can order extra of it for 50 cents.
It's like that weird bag of chips that the Chinese restaurant gives you. You don't know what it is or what it's made of, but you're guaranteed gonna crush that entire bag.
Yeah.
What's your story?
I was gonna say I might get on the TB12 method.
Okay. What's your?
We're just gonna jump over that.
I mean, you could.
I just didn't know how much it cost.
I'm just tired of hearing about them.
Well, I mean, it's working for him. It actually looks expensive. I mean, did I think it wasn't going to be? The plant-based protein runs about $50. Electrolyte powder, $18.
It's definitely going to be better for you than Long John Silver's.
I mean, I don't doubt that.
Show me your data.
Right. Yeah. Supersize me, mate.
Morgan Spurlock. What was the guy's name?
Morgan Spurlock was the supersize me guy. We're going off a lot of tangents.
I know. I was trying to get us back on track. To be fair,
I know. Well, I just brought up something and it wasn't even on track. It wasn't even a tangent. It was just good old fashioned tangent off.
Yep.
But Morgan Spurlock had that chicken sandwich restaurant in Columbus that he made a documentary about.
It wasn't even real?
It was real, but now it's like closed.
Okay.
I don't know. I tried to get Scotty on it, and whatever. Performance meals.
You got shrimp. The shrimp looks good.
I know. Meals are just $14.76.
Oh, so this is like Hello Fresh,
right?
Or the Blue Apron before they went out of business.
On top of like whey protein and whatever he does. All right, my stardom is Old Flames.
Ooh, okay.
Jay Cutler, Christian Cavallari, back.
We didn't hear anything about it at all, and then all of a sudden, there they are.
They dropped it right during championship weekend. Classic.
It's good marketing.
Southern Charms, which, I mean, another sidebar here. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
It's a television series.
Oh, okay.
Madison LaCroix reveals text about sleeping with Jay Cutler.
Ooh.
Before he got back to Christian Cavallari. So
she saw that he might be having a glow up or at least getting some strange. She was like, okay, maybe I do want to get back with him.
Right. And I don't know. I'm not a Christian Cavallari guy, but Jay Cutler definitely has a type.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Old Flames.
Mm-hmm.
You.
Sit 'em?
Yeah.
You get my sit 'em?
What's your starter?
I already did that.
What was it? Oh, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, sit 'em.
All right, so my sit 'em is going to be Budweiser, not doing a Super Bowl ad for the first time since 1983.
Yeah. Clydesdales.
Yeah.
This is a Super Bowl
Well, sometimes
staple.
they just have funny ones too.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I couldn't name one off the top of my head, but it'd be like Doritos not doing a Super
I
Bowl
almost
ad.
forgot that they're supposed to be like funny.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they come with heat this year, but I doubt it.
I remember all the GoDaddy ones during the Packers-Steelers Super Bowl.
Oh my god, yeah.
GoDaddy's all over. Now GoDaddy tried to pass off this wholesome image that they have. Is like, we remember the days when you were basically...
Danica Patrick was nude,
yeah.
My sit-em... Oh, Guinness is doing an ad, though.
Okay.
So,
The world record book or the beer?
The beer.
Gotcha.
I used to love the Guinness...
World record book?
No. Scholastic Book Fair special.
Getting some strange.
The commercials where they're like two men, they're brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Remember those?
Sure.
Those were funny. All right, sit 'em. College student reporters. So Saturday, Duke lost to Louisville, and
did they lose to Georgia Tech tonight, or did they win?
They
won by close one, or they blow them out.
Georgia Tech was plus
6.
Yeah, Duke won by 7. Duke covered. That was one of your losses. I need your record, by the way.
Still positive.
Yeah, I know.
Still over 42%.
43.
43%.
I need your record, though.
Okay.
While I'm thinking about it.
Well, let's pull it up.
Yeah, do that. But school reporters. So
let's crunch some numbers here.
On the Zoom presser after the Duke loss to Louisville, a student reporter asked Coach K, like, what's your plan for this week? And Coach K basically drug him through the mud. He was like, "What's your major?" The guy's like, "Journalism." He's like, "Well, what's your hardest class?" He's like, "Econ." He's like, "Imagine if you took the hardest econ test ever, and you flunked it. You knew it right away. You left the classroom after the econ test, and you knew you did poorly on it. And some guy came up to you and asked, like, what's your plan?"
Yeah, imagine getting paid hundreds or millions of dollars to be here to take this class. Right. Yeah, it's definitely the same. You dumbass.
Like, I'm also not taking questions in a presser after an econ test.
Yeah, does your back hurt because of all these losses that you're having? All right, my record is 73, 69, nice, and 3.
All right, 73, 69, and 3.
Don't forget the asterisk.
Remember the bet is, what's the asterisk?
That was from when you forced me to take picks from a crappy slate because it was like not 7 o'clock at night.
Oh, but then throw in a double asterisk it's an asterisk off.
If you could, I'll throw in a double one if you can pronounce the word asterisk.
Asterisk.
Exactly. Asterisk.
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 Okay, there you go.
Asterisk.
Mm-hmm. A-S-T-E-R-I-S-K.
Asterisk off.
Mm-hmm.
For all the days you miss.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of days.
Yeah, it's supposed to be daily.
Well,
I can't believe you have an asterisk on there. You're a pussy.
Well.
All right, so the bet is 43% you have to be up. You're obviously over 50, 4 games above 500. You got to be, we're betting a unit on it by the end of the year. By, what should we say?
By conference tournament week?
I was going to say by the start of March Madness.
Okay. You want me to do conference tournament games? Okay.
All right. That's my sit-em. Let's finish it off. Snake draft of worst playoff coaching decisions. I promise we'll get to
It's not Snake draft, it's Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. I promise we'll get to Bachelor at some point.
Yep.
I just don't really remember that. And there's a new one out.
I watched it today.
Oh, okay. We kind of record at a difficult time. But we will get to Bachelor sometime. Okay, so Zach's fresh off a few Watch Mojo.
Victoria is still a piece of shit, by the way.
Well, I didn't think she'd change in a week.
Yeah.
Zach was watching some Watch Mojos last night, so I think this is what spawned this. I'm fine with it. It's cool.
Well, also with the
LaFluer
thing, which is why I'm sure that's why they did the video, because they're usually it's about stuff that's in the news. So
if Stick It in Your Ear LaFluer is a GIF, I would recommend that when you post this pod.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go first? You're right.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first, and it's got to be Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Running it. Easy. I got Pete Carroll on here twice. Well, the other one might be an honorable mention, but you don't give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. You pass it on a 2nd and goal. If you're gonna pass, wait till 4th and goal. If you have to. If you ran it 3 times and it didn't work.
Here is where, and maybe I'll get to it later because I might have one that's an honorable mention that's kind of similar to Pete Carroll but not as talked about.
And I think we can also, if you want to, we can accept like coaching decisions from like week 17 games that have playoff implications.
Because it was kind of tough.
Yeah, because I found that it was kind of tough to find stuff, at least from my memory, that was strictly bad coaching decisions in the playoffs.
Yeah,
usually bad coaches don't make the playoffs. Usually,
right. So, yeah, well, I'll get to that later. Okay, I will go with Kyle Shanahan and the Falcons in the second half, and kind of like it was hard to just specify this or write it down. But it was.
It's not one decision that they made. It was like
right. Just like the big one to me was, there wasn't just one decision. It was just a big snowball.
You don't lose a big lead like that if it was just one bad decision.
Right. But the biggest one to me was they were up 28-20. And Julio made that amazing catch on the sideline at like the Patriot 22. And somehow they ended up out of field goal range and had to punt.
Yeah.
And that was because, like, at that point you run it 3 times straight up the middle, kick a field goal, pop champagne.
Yep.
And they ended up passing. Matt Ryan took a sack, and then he threw another pass on 3rd down, got called for holding, and backed him up even more. And then, just ended up at like the 40-something yard line.
That's a cursed quarterback.
Yeah, and
that's a guy that that's one of those guys that like I wish he would have gotten one.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I like Matt Ryan.
He's like a more likable Matt Stafford.
Good, not great. But the mic'd up of that game is heartbreaking. Just because like on that drive when they could just kick the game-winning field goal, he throws a pass to like get him back into field goal range. It would have been a makeable 40-something yard field goal to Mohamed Sanu, and then he sees the flag at his feet. He's like, "Guys, what the fuck is that? Did you hold?" And they were both like, "No."
That's
and
like when Drew Brees like Alvin.
So that was just heartbreaking. I just watched that the other day. All right, you go.
Okay, I'm gonna go with. And this is just more, it's not because it's a bigger, worse decision, but it's more from my recent memory. The AFC division round between the Ravens and the Broncos.
I have this.
John Fox with 31 seconds left, 2 timeouts, and Peyton fucking Manning doesn't try to march down and get a field goal to win the game. Instead, he goes to overtime. And I've got a game that's similar to this I'm also going to put on here. Similar situation.
Well, I might say it. Is it Minnesota in the 98 NFC Championship game?
Yeah.
So I was going to go with this next.
Those wide receivers.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me?
And I think they had even more time.
Yeah, they had, I thought I wrote it down on here. They had like 41 seconds or something like that, or 47 seconds.
So it was Dennis Green, R.I.P.
Yep.
Kneeling on the ball to go to overtime.
15-1 Vikings.
Yeah. That would have been a great.
14-2 Falcons.
Yeah, that would have been a great Super Bowl against Denver had they won.
Yeah.
Away versus Cunningham. But instead, it was the Falcons who got dismantled. All right, you're up with the 3rd pick.
All right, I'm going to go with 1980 Cardiac Kids, the Red Right 88.
That's the Pete Carroll, the one I almost said.
Yeah, it's 14-2. how do you say that, guys? Rutigliano. Italiano. Maybe he was shaving some points here. I don't know. At the 13-yard line, instead of giving the kick, just running it, giving your kicker the perfect spot, asking your kicker where do you want it, calls a pass play, pick, game's over.
So I will say, in a few, like that was in Cleveland in the old stadium with the wind swirling. It was very bad, and the kicker had missed 2 field goals. So I think that's where
you're at the 13-yard line.
Right, I know. You
just run the ball.
Yeah, you kick the ball. You might score a touchdown if you're on the ball.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, is that I think, like, it's just crazy to me that, like, as soon as the Seahawks lost to the Patriots on the Malcolm Butler play, which is also one of the better coaching decisions Belichick ever made, to not call timeout because he was screwed. The Seahawks were 2 yards away, and if they scored a touchdown, he had no time to go do anything. But they were, like, running around, and Belichick was like, they were like calling down. He's like, "Coach, do you want to take a timeout?" And he was just like, "I got it." And he said, like, I didn't want to like bail them out if they were helter skelter everywhere. But you get on Pete Carroll immediately for not calling a run, and you get on Sam Rutigliano for not calling a run. It's like there's no blame for Russell Wilson throwing the worst timed interception in NFL history. There is no worse interception in NFL history. Not in terms of it's a bad throw, but in terms of just the timing of it. Not a worse one in NFL history. Yeah. And same with Brian Sipe, who was the quarterback for the Browns at the time against the Raiders. It was in a earlier round playoff game, so it doesn't sting as much, and it was so long ago.
Right.
But yeah, cardiac cats of the 80s, Sam Rutigliano. All right, I'm gonna go with Wade Phillips. He double dipped in this game. It was the Music City Miracle against the Titans. So,
is that a playoff game?
Yeah. Okay. It was the first round.
Gotcha.
It was in Tennessee, and he kicks a field goal to essentially win the game, but he kicks it with 6 seconds left. Could have. It was like on second down, so he could have ran another play.
You have timeouts left?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Still had a timeout.
Need the ball.
Yeah, kicked it with 6 seconds left, made it, then had to kick off. So he should have never kicked off in the first place. But also, that year, Doug Flutie was the starting quarterback throughout the most of the year. Second half, little plus second half, 10, 11 games. Led him to the division title, and that was when you won a division title, you weren't guaranteed a home game.
Yeah.
Because there was only 3 divisions. So then he gets benched for Rob Johnson in the playoffs because he was a little bit shaken up, but he was fine. And he had the Flutie flakes. He was on the Wheaties box, and Rob Johnson played awful. Obviously, still should have won the game, but his stats were dreadful in that game.
Yeah.
But so
I thought about when I was doing my research for expanding my picks, I did read that one. I thought about putting that one in there. All right, the other one I'm going to go with is Pete Carroll icing Matt Bryant's shank. So he went to ice Matt Bryant, the Falcons kicker. He went to ice him, and when he kicked the ball, he shanked it. Missed the field goal, and then he goes back to kick it again after the timeout. Makes it.
Is that the 2016 playoffs?
No, this was 2013, 2012, 2013. Yeah, season. So it would have been 2013 at that point, probably, right? Maybe.
Atlanta won that game and then lost to San Francisco.
They won 30-28.
Okay, and then lost to San Francisco and then lost to Baltimore.
Yep.
All right. Mine. Damn, it's tough. I'm gonna go just because I don't want to say that Belichick did something wrong, but on my honorable mention is him benching Malcolm.
Yeah, Butler, I have that on here too.
And then Nick Foles going off against him. But
I don't think Malcolm Butler necessarily changes.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Watching that Eagles Super Bowl game.
Why did he bench him? Did we ever find out and get a reason why?
Yeah, but now I'm blanking on it. I think we did. It was just like team protocol. That was all. That was the end of it.
Did he do some bullshit
specific
that he?
I don't know, but it's Belichick.
It's not like what's his face who got arrested the night before the Super Bowl for being with a prostitute,
Buchanan from Atlanta,
and then getting played the next day.
Mine's gonna be Mike Ditka, not giving the ball to Walter Payton in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, to the
Super Bowl
Fridge.
Yeah,
got it.
They gave Fridge. I think Fridge might have had one touchdown. Fridge and Jim McMahon each had 1 yard touchdown runs. McMahon had 2. Either McMahon had 2 or Fridge had 1.
We were talking about getting an A just because you put your name on the project.
Right.
Jim McMahon.
Well, yeah. Trent Dilfer. Brad Johnson. But
Tom Brady.
But, mine's got to be Ditka just because everything's perfect in that game. You're winning, like the game's over at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Bears were 1-point favorites, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. The game's over at halftime, and you had so many chances inside the 5-yard line, and your franchise guy of like the Chicago Bear of Chicago Bears,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. doesn't get a touchdown. That has to sting. And Ditka's reasoning behind it was just like, I just forgot. And I was like,
you forgot about Walter Payton?
Right. And if you do look at the footage, because I've watched videos on it, like the Patriots were sending like 3 guys at him.
Yeah.
But like, if you're up 37-3 in the third quarter,
to be fair,
give it to him 4 times.
Yeah.
Like,
to be fair, though, he is the fridge, right?
Right.
What's the odds of him making it in there? Probably pretty good, I would imagine. You don't give the guy the ball regularly at the 1-yard line if he's not good at getting it in there.
Right. But also, like, do you have to put that was just such a like do it for the clout moment where fridge was such a big thing.
Yeah.
Because they had done it a few times, and that was a fun fact. That was like a prop in the Super Bowl. That was the first year it was offered. The heaviest person to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, like over under, and because the Bears were in it, like a bunch of bettors put hundreds of thousands of dollars on the over, and like Vegas lost a shit ton on that game, on just that prop alone.
Oh, really?
Heaviest touchdown scorer. It was like, I don't know what it was, probably 220, 230. And so everyone took over.
Fridge weighs like 300 and something pounds.
Yeah. Oh, everyone took over, thinking Fridge would get it, and they did. And Vegas ended up taking the prop off the board 2 days before the Super Bowl because they had so much money on the over. And Fridge scored, and it just killed them. But, I mean, never going to feel sorry for them.
I'm never going to feel sorry for Vegas, yeah. Right. All right. I don't know. Have we done 4 already, or is this 4?
We did do 4.
Okay. More honorable mentions. The first miracle in the Meadowlands, Herm Edwards fumble recovery touchdown.
That was not a playoff
I know,
game.
not a playoff game, but, we're diving deep. I mean, for honorable mentions, we're kind of diving deep into...
Oh. Well, I mean, there's a million you could think of.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, because I waited until, like, games that had playoff implications. I've got that one, and then...
I was saying we might have seen the same article when we got on this.
Oh, I don't know. I looked at a bunch of different articles.
Really?
So I guess that's the only other honorable mention that I really have.
Yeah, I mean, LaFluer has to be up there. It's kind of a chicken shitty.
Bill Belichick on the 4th and 2 in his own territory against the Colts. That was a playoff game.
I'm getting into regular season mode now.
Or the Colts.
I don't mind that. I don't mind if Belichick did it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Especially a guy who's had... I wonder, his career 4th down conversion percentage has to be amazing.
Well, when I watched the NFL Network on that game, there was a guy on there who's a big analytical guy, and he was like... He's like, Belichick not getting that was like the worst thing to happen to football because then it would have encouraged other teams to be bold like that. And the play is go for 2 when it's Peyton Manning on the other side and you haven't stopped him in the second half.
Right.
And Belichick had done it earlier in that season against Atlanta and got it. So, I mean, it's pretty confident. You have Tom Brady on one side.
Do you remember that Colts play where it was they had just the center and like one guy to his left?
2015 against,
and they're like, they didn't even know, like,
the worst fake punt of all time.
And they got flagged for illegal formation.
Pat McAfee explaining that is pretty funny.
Oh, it is?
If you ever looked it up.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking of other ones. I know Dan Quinn kicked a field goal with Atlanta.
Oh, Marty Mornhinweg to decline against the Bears, declining the...
You definitely saw the same article I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he declined. He tried to beat Belichick, declining it to get the win at his advantage when he got the ball, and he never got the ball.
Right. We want the ball and we're going to score. That's terrible. That's not a coaching decision, but...
That was tough. Michael Holmgren. I mean, the Browns have to be in there somewhere.
Right?
I don't know. You threw me off when regular season got back on the table.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right.
I just wanted to talk about more stupid coaches.
All right. I like that. All right. Is that our show?
That's our show.
All right. Here we go. There's a little place where the sun sleeps late and pulls himself a shot of tequila. It's a little place called Pleasure Island. That's where I'd like to feel ya. It's easy to find just beyond the last wave. Dolphins and whales are up mating. Sail all day and all night and then take a hard ride. That's where I'll be awaiting. Pleasure Island, island of pleasure. No need to stop and think. national treasure. Come on down and have a drink.